Another football with Faria means another film session covering the New York Jets 2023-2024 season. Nick Faria here. We're going to break down everything that happened throughout week one between the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. But before we get started, we have to do the usual. Let's get started.
It's time for Football with Faria.
You got to get the offense right, and you got to be able to be aggressive. They put up 14 against the secondary. That is driving me up a freaking wall right now.
Now here's your host, Nick Faria.
All right, you guys know how this works. We did it last week. First off, we dissected the first half and a little bit of the second half between the Jets and the Bills in week one of the NFL season. The Jets ended up coming back from a 13-3 deficit, ended up winning on a game-winning punt return in overtime. Great stuff. Everyone loved it. We dissected the first half, and we kind of saw, correct me if I'm wrong, for those of you that are watching, leave your comments and questions here. We'll try to answer them at the end of the show. But we saw a little bit of the positives that the Jets had throughout the 2023 season. And we also saw some of the negatives as well, some of those things that really crept up on the team throughout the entire year. For those of you that are wondering where I am, I'm actually at Long Island University in Brooklyn, Rock Nation. I'm going to be teaching a class in about an hour and a half, but I will be going through this film session for the next hour before I get started. So for those of you that are watching, we're going to give you plenty of content here, plenty of things to watch as we dissect the second half between the Jets and the Bills in week one. So let's go. Let's get it started right away. I want to make sure that I get the right screen out. Okay, so the basic background that we have here is based off of our reports from last week. The Jets opened the second half drive with a 12-play field goal ending drive to cut the deficit. What was that? 13-6? Yes, 13-6. So this is a team that had just lost Aaron Rodgers. The air was out of the building at MetLife Stadium. A lot of fans came to see, a lot of excitement, a lot of expectations. And right away, 4 plays in, we all know what happened. So there was still a ball game to play. And as much as we want to get on Robert Saleh, we want to get on Nathaniel Hackett and all the problems that consistently were felt by the coaching staff through this regular season, one of those issues, though, wasn't in game preparedness, particularly for this game. They had every reason to fold over and die in this game. Every reason. They fell down 13-3. They just were playing poorly on offense. There really wasn't anything that you could possibly do to make fans excited. But then they came out there in the second half and they did a great job. And we're going to go through this one drive that I really feel sort of changed the complexion of the game. And look at that. I'm already clicking some stuff here. Just a complete mess of technology, but that's okay. We got this up and running. But again, the one thing that I will say, and this drive ends up in an interception, but the one thing that I'll say as we get ready to go here, when you have a defense like this and you have not so much issues stopping the run as they did all year, you see in this game the reason why people weren't so pessimistic about the 2023 season, because the defense was absolutely spectacular this entire game. You give up 13, 16 points to an offense like the Buffalo Bills, who we saw at the end of the year really become what they were supposed to be throughout the season. That's highly successful. So for this first play, again, first drive of the second half, it gets blown up immediately by who else? Jermaine Johnson. And we talk about the job that JJ had this year and the work that he did to improve himself. It really, really was special. And something that really you look at and you see the third first round pick that they had just blows through this block here and is in complete position. It's clearly a delayed halfback draw and it just gets blown up immediately. 1 yard loss. Credit right there to Al Woods as well. But Jermaine Johnson, he was an absolute force pretty much this entire game. And throughout the season as well. All right. So for this play, looks like they're in man. You see DJ Reed coming off here on the tight end. This completion here to Dalton Knox. And I'll say this for the Jets safeties. They were not as bad as they were in 2022. It was something that was pushed by Tony Adams, by Jordan Whitehead. A lot of these guys were vehemently against the notion that the safety group was bad in 2022, and they were better in 2023. Do I think that they were elite? Probably not. But here, I mean, it's a blatant push off on on Dawson Knox, and it's laughable that this wasn't called. Again, look at this. Prime example. You see Knox at the top, just shoving Adams, and just comes away open. I mean, it's clearly a no call. Yes, it's incidental contact because Knox fell as well, but Knox ran into Adams. There's really nothing Adams can do on this play because they do a good job of sticking together and dealing with that cross. But when an offensive player can push off like that, that'll leave you with some issues overall. But they attacked Tony Adams in this game. These next two completions, both to Adams, both on Adams' guy, and for Adams making really his first start, really true start as an everyday safety, he gets caught here. It's kind of a rub route, and he gets caught. This is his guy. Kincaid's his guy. He doesn't pick him up until it's too late, and it's a 9-yard pickup. So Buffalo is up 7 with the ball, and they're driving. But this is where momentum needs to kind of come in. And this is just a poor play again. They're attacking Adams and they're attacking Reed on this drive in particular. And this one is just not going to be on Reed's highlight reel here because he does a good job in collapsing. Now make the tackle. It's right here. Make the tackle. Nope. He bounces out and picks up a first down. And we kind of see this throughout the year, right, guys? Because as much as we love Sauce Gardner, as much as we love DJ Reed, and as much as they are elite corners, the one problem they had this year was consistent tackling. People could get to the edge on the Jets, and the Jets could not get a stop because they just weren't tackling very well. That's just it's just unfortunately a part of who they were in this season. And here's a great job. Oh, I love this play. And let me tell you something. I interviewed Jamie Sherwood this year before the season began, and I really felt that he was so confident that he was going to step up in a big-time role. Here the Jets are. It's clearly zone. We've got coverage here. Everyone's sort of blanketed to this point. And now it seems like it's sort of a delayed dump-off to Cook. And look at the recognition. So Jamie Sherwood's at the 40-yard line. Cook is around midfield. Look at the speed that Sherwood uses to make this tackle. I mean, that's just great stuff. It's just great stuff. This is a guy who I feel is being groomed to replace CJ Mosley whenever that does happen. And there's going to be some questions that it may happen this offseason because if you look at the cap hit of CJ Mosley, it is a monstrosity. But Jamie Sherwood here does a great job. It's a chip, and he has to come downfield. There is room here for James Cook to make a move and pick up more than just a couple of yards, but it's all he does because Sherwood does a great job tackling. And if there's one player that I felt really took a positive step and showed the development of this coaching staff, it's Jamie Sherwood. He had a great game in this game, and he had really a very good season. Here's a little hand fighting. The one thing that I'll say, when you're Sauce Gardner and you're playing Stephon Diggs, you're not going to win every single matchup. And he has basically stuck to him this entire time. He trips a little bit. You see the little tug. You see the little tug here from Sauce. It allows Diggs to get open. Allen's trying to make a move. He rolls out of the pocket. They pick up the first down. That's just a great play by Stephon Diggs. And when you have an elite corner like Sauce Gardner, this is not an indictment on him because he's going to get beat. Corners get beat in the NFL. The one thing that I'll say about Sauce is that is a play that an all-pro receiver has to make. You are not seeing a lot of these guys do this job correctly. Now, the Jets are going to get a sack here. Buffalo just picked up a first down. And the one thing the Jets do beautifully in this game is they marry coverage to pass rush. You have Sauce here. You've got a guy here ready to jump this post. Everyone's locked up, and Allen is just tripping around. There's just nowhere to go. Even if Allen is staying in the pocket here, and look at the pocket. There's nobody open. There's absolutely nobody open. The pocket's fine. And he tries to scramble, but he trips on the logo, and it's a 3-yard sack that they give to Quentin Jefferson. It's just one of those things where I looked at the Jets defense this year, and a lot of people were wondering about their pass rush because at times they were really good and at times they weren't. In this particular game, they were really good. But a reason why they were really good is because the secondary was just completely blanketing one of the best offenses in football. This was as encouraging a game that you could have and ask for when you play top offenses. The one thing that I'll say, and I think context gets sort of missed when we have these kind of conversations, but when you look at teams and elite defenses are going to get beat. You look at what the Cleveland Browns did in the wild card round against Houston. They gave up 45 points. The Dallas Cowboys, elite defense, they gave up 48 points. There are a lot of elite defenses out there that have been shredded this postseason because they play better offenses. In the modern NFL, if your defense gives around 16 to 20 points a game, that is an absolutely elite defense, and you just have to find a way to get the offense to match up. And the Jets this year, whenever their offense really put up 20 points and when they looked competent enough to put up 20 points, this was the kind of defense that was usually along for the ride. All right, this is a pick, and this is all poor decision, but great pass rush by the Jets defense. And I'm actually going to let this play run again, but look at the pressure that forces Allen to make that mistake in the first place. We're going to get the end zone view here because this is just a phenomenal pressure. It's a little bit of a twist and stunt. And notice this, right? Notice this. I want you guys to notice this as we go back to the end zone view. It's clearly a stunt run by the Jets defense. And it seems that the Bills do a good job, particularly on this side, of picking up these two. They do a good job with Woods, and they do a good job with JFM. But here's the problem. Quentin Williams is the best defensive player on this Jets team, maybe outside of Sauce Gardner. And the Bills don't double him here. I'm not sure what the guard is doing, but the center just gets blown to bits. Blown to bits by a top 5 defensive player, and Quentin Williams does what he's supposed to do. He affects the pass, Jordan Whitehead picks it off, and the Jets are back in business. And now all momentum is back on the Jets side. But the one thing that we're going to see here on this drive, because the Jets only put up 4 plays, they pick up a first down, but that's it. The big problem is whenever they had momentum, whenever they were given momentum on offense, it was very hard for them to really do anything constructive. And first play is perfectly fine. A screen, Dalvin Cook, you pick up a first down. What's that, gain of 14, 15 yards? That's as good as you can ask for. And it's well blocked, too. It's a great play call. Everything about it's solid. They do a good job. The line gets in front. No one is above the line of scrimmage, so there's no issues about an eligible man downfield. And look at the hole. Look at the room that Dalvin Cook has. Now, I will say, if you look at this tape here, everyone's being blocked up. To get to the 35, you want McGovern to go here. It's just, I feel like there's more meat on the bones, right? It shouldn't just be a 15-yard game. But it's still a first down, and it's a good play call. I would like some better execution upfield, but you can't really ask for much more than that. All right, this is a play just doomed from the start. I'm going to rant here for you guys, and you guys all know me because I cover the Eagles as well. I'm an Eagles fan, and I cover the Jets. I really feel wide receiver screens need to be completely abolished next season because it is ridiculous. Ridiculous. This play has no chance. The corner is up wide. Yes, of course. He backs up about 5 yards, but this is a 5-yard cushion. This can easily be made up when your receiver is flat-footed like this. And this is not on the receiver. Stop running wide receiver screens. It's almost impossible to do in the modern game correctly and consistently. Now, after a 15-yard game where you picked up a first down, now you're second and long with the backup quarterback, and you gave him no chance to operate. No chance with that play. Wide receiver screens, Nathaniel Hackett did it. Brian Johnson did it. Every team does it. And most teams completely struggle with it. But again, notice the difference here. So they've wasted first down. Now it's second and long. And on second and long, what happens? It's an errant throw. And now it's third and long. So you have essentially, after a 15-yard completion, completely bungled your offensive system. You've given your backup quarterback no chance. Even if Lazard makes it, even if he makes that catch, it's third and long. You can't win this way. There's a small completion here, but it gets wiped out by a hold. It doesn't even matter because they don't pick up the first down. And guys, this isn't just Zach Wilson. And I want to preface this here. He did have the bad interception that we remember from this game, and he has missed on a couple of throws. But he's not the one calling a wide receiver screen. He's not the one who has a holding call on him on third and long. These are the problems. These are the issues that the Jets are dealing with, and they dealt with as early as week 1. It's just not a viable winning formula at all. At all. And it's very unfortunate because think about it. They had just gotten an interception, and on the first offensive play, they pick up 15 yards. And then they did nothing with it. Because essentially, they gave up with a wide receiver screen that went nowhere. Again, 13-6. We're now late in the third quarter. It's a winnable game. It's a one-score game. And now the defense, again, has to stand on their head. And they do this drive. It's a 3-and-out. They do a great job overall of keeping this play in front of them. When you have trick plays like this, they could end up disastrously for a defense. And when you look at this overall whole, you think, uh-oh, the Jets are in trouble. Uh-oh, the Jets are in trouble because you can take it to the outside. But Michael Carter does a great job. C.J. Mosley does a great job rallying to the football. And a nice little shout out to DJ Reed as well, shipping off a block and making the tackle. That could have been a big play. And the defense was able to stand up and do their job. Because they're engaged. They're engaged. They want to play. They want to make these plays. You see it. You see this team on fire. This defense on fire. They want to win. And we get a coverage play here. And it's just a great job by the defense. There's just nobody open. There's nobody open. And when you have a scramble like Allen, obviously you want to make sure that you keep him in front of him. But there's nobody open. Sauce is here, locked up. Everyone's locked up. So Allen's got to make a play. But the defensive line getting after him, it's awesome football. It's awesome football. And Allen had probably his worst game of the year, one of his worst games of the year. And you see, it's just, there's nobody open. He has to throw it away. And it's another great job. I do want to pause here for a little bit. Not the actual stream, but I do want to let everybody know that the Atlanta Falcons have hired the new head coach, and it's Raheem Morris. Wow. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But on third down, again, this is a play. They're in man. It looks like they're in man here. I want to make sure I get the right alignment. They're in a bunch setting, and bunches, some defenses cannot handle bunches. And it's essentially a quasi-pick play here. I know Knox is here trying to allow Cook to get some room. And he does it. So Cook is here at the 20. if he uses his speed, he can get to the outside. But again, the quickness of the Jets linebackers, in particular, Quincy Williams. I mean, that's really good football. Quincy is behind on the play, and we're going to see it from the end zone view. Quincy is behind on the play. And with Cook's speed, you would expect him to get there. But Williams is so fast to corral to the ball. That's an all-pro tackle. It's an all-pro play that we saw so many times this year. So many times. Really was one of the main highlights of the season. Really was. I mean, when you look at the linebacking play this year, and it was really good. I know a lot of people, I wasn't very high on C.J. Mosley to end the year, particularly in that game against Cleveland. But Quincy Williams, almost every game, had a highlight reel play where I was saying, wow, this guy is an all-pro. It was just incredible football. But again, there's momentum. Everyone expects these things to go well. Hopefully this drive starts off well, and it doesn't. They go 3 and out. They try the play action fake. I have no problem with this play call. Problem is that Zach's not reading it well. Because he tries to get all the way outside, and now the play is dead. I would have liked, if I was in that position, if this is a coaching moment for me and I'm talking to Zach, I would have liked him, instead of rolling all the way out, and we're going to see it from the end zone view here. Because the Bills do a great job. The Bills do a great job here. This defensive player completely blows up the play. If I'm Wilson, I want to stop the rollout quick, maybe step up a couple steps to read it instead of just rolling out to the pocket. Because there's really nowhere to go. I don't like throwing back across the field, as we all know, because that can really do some damage. On a run, again, Breece Hall is so good. He's so good, man. He is so, so good. There's just nothing here. There's nothing here. And he bounces it out, makes a move, and picks up 7-8 yards. He's so good. But now, so the quarter ends. Hall picks up 7. It's 3rd and 3. You go into the final quarter. Final quarter, got to be able to win it. And what happens? Well, nobody's open. A little bit, maybe. But not enough because the pressure had already collapsed. And we're going to get the end zone view here because if it wasn't the offensive line, it was the coverage. And if it wasn't the coverage or offensive line, it was the quarterback. And this is part of the problem. Dwayne Brown, it looks like Dwayne kind of trips a little bit. Dwayne Brown here. He just oversteps. And it's lucky that this isn't even a worse sack. But because he was met so quickly in the backfield, let's think about this here. Ball is snapped. Right? Ball is snapped. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. And he's already at the quarterback. And now Wilson has to just figure out something to do. That's not a winning situation for your quarterback. On this particular play, a 3rd and short, that is all on the offensive line, all on the left tackle. Because it just can't happen. It can't happen, especially next year with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this isn't even close. He oversteps, they get him on a swim move, and it's just disaster. It could have been worse, but it's just not pretty. It's just not good football. So the Jets have to punt. And again, Bills have the ball early in the 4th. And they can put this game away, essentially. They really can just end this game where it stands. But they don't, because the Jets' defense forces another turnover. And they do it in pretty good fashion, too. On this particular play, again, it's one of those rub routes. they targeted Cook a lot in this game because they trust him. There were a lot of young players on this Bills offense. A lot of them aren't going to be needing a lot of contract extensions. There's obviously some questions that Buffalo's going to have to answer in free agency. But this is still a really good team. And the fact that the Jets were able to beat them at home like this, it should be encouraging for everyone in the Jets organization. It really should. Simple run here. They pick up the first down. All right. This is going to be a sack by Jermaine Johnson. Let's watch him. He's right here. The delayed blitz, and it's just beautifully done. Jeff Ulbrich, guys, and Robert Saleh, what they've done with this defense has been absolutely incredible. It's a clear twist stunt. Quinnen's going upfield. Johnson's going around. And Allen knows that there's pressure coming, sees a hole in the middle, and tries to use his legs. But the problem is this is such a well-called play that Johnson just meets him in the hole. I mean, it's just well done. Allen thinks he's going to be able to run this for a good 10, 15 yards because Mosley is clearly on Kincaid. And he had a play similar like this in the first half, if you remember last week. But it's just a great called stunt. 2-yard sack. It's second and long now. Now, notice the difference here in play calls. I want you guys to notice this. Second and long, the Jets tried something quick in the previous couple of drives. It was second and long. They had the bad screen. They tried something quick, and now it's third and long. Look at what the Bills do on their end. This is only a 3-yard gain, but they trust their quarterback enough to make plays on third and long. This is only a 3-yard gain. And the Jets do a really good job of rallying to the football. Sauce Gardner, Quincy Williams. This is well done. This is all well done. And it keeps it in a third and long. But notice what happens on third and long. Because the Jets can't get off the field. And when you have a quarterback that can make these kind of plays, this is why. Mosley misses a tackle. And it's now third and long turns to first and 10. And this is just an inexcusable miss by Mosley. Inexcusable. He's rallying to the ball, and he misses the tackle. And if he gets the tackle there, if he makes the tackle there, here, wrap up, secure the tackle. Jets are forcing another punt. Instead, it's first down. But it looked like, just based on what Mosley was saying here and screaming at, it seemed that there was a miscommunication. I don't know. There are obviously going to be miscommunications all over. But even then, that's a tackle he needs to make. And he didn't make it there. He just didn't. So now it's first and 10. And again, Buffalo's got all the momentum here. All the momentum. But again, just you're running out of words to say, right? When it comes to Quincy Williams being dragged down to the field, he's just an unbelievable player. He really is. And Buffalo, the thing that they didn't do throughout the early portion of the season, and they did late, was get after the running game, really force down the run. This is a well-blocked group that Williams makes the tackle. How many times are we going to talk about Quincy Williams in this game, guys? Holy cow. All right, this is the turnover. The third pick of the day from Jordan Whitehead. Let's see what's going on here. There's going to be some questions that the Jets need to answer when it comes to Whitehead and free agency. But this is an elite play. That's an elite play, guys. Steps up, baits Allen into a bad throw. Third interception of the day. That's just an elite play. That's ball skill. That's just awesome. That's just awesome. And again, the tides turn. So now there's 9:43 remaining in the ball game. They're down 7. Jets got to do something offensively. And tip your cap to Dalvin Cook, because I thought Dalvin Cook did have a good game here. Picks up 5. And that's his MO. When Dalvin Cook's on the field, that's his MO. You pick up 3, 4, 5 yards a time, and you do that consistently, eventually you're going to break one off. The problem was that they didn't really give him a chance to do that. Here's just a miss. So look at the end zone view. This is a game, a running play that gains 0 yards because the double team doesn't work, which, again, inexcusable. The hole can be here. If you trust in Cook to make a move on wrap, he can make the play here. And instead, it's nowhere to go because the double team gets broken. Not good. Not good. So now it's 3rd and medium. You got to trust your quarterback here. And Wilson delivers. On a really good, that's a good pass route, guys. There's a lot of things that we can look at and say, oh, Nathaniel Hackett was terrible in this game, or Nathaniel Hackett was bad in that game. As I've said, this isn't as simple. Man route, defense is clearly a man coverage. What do? You run crossers. Allen Lazard's wide open. That's the easiest 24 yards he's going to get. So now the Jets are moving, right? Now there's some momentum. They run a little trap play. Hall gets 4. Let's look at the blocking up front. It's a good job. That's really good. Hall stays on his feet there. Maybe they pick up a few more. The running game in this particular contest was not bad by any stretch. It's not, you can't expect them to be elite like some of these great running teams, but they were great. They were great. All right, another 3rd and 5. Another 3rd and 5 here. It's a good ball. Think about it this way, all right? So when you're looking at it from this view, 3rd and 5, you're down 7. There's about 5 minutes to go. There's about 5 minutes, and he unloads immediately when he sees Wilson here. This pass, if he leads him to the sideline, it's picked off. So what he does is he throws directly at Wilson. That is good quarterback play. I mean, that's just well done. He throws it at him so it doesn't get picked off. And these were the kind of plays that we saw throughout the year that, yes, Zach Wilson is very deficient in some quarterback problems. It's an overall processor. But ultimately, it's not like he wasn't making throws at all the entire game. Like, there were some plays, in particular in this game, I thought he played relatively well. I thought he played, pretty solid, all things considered. And this is play of the year, if you want to talk about it. Garrett Wilson, one-on-one. One of the best catches of the season. And it's a clear trust ball. And it's not a well-thrown ball. Because you see, he throws it inside to the corner. And Wilson has to really kind of play defense to just even get involved and give himself a chance. And it's tremendous coverage by Tre'Davious White, too. It's tremendous coverage. But a 13-3 game at the half is now 13-all. You can't tell me that Robert Saleh is not good at certain aspects of being a head coach because he kept these guys involved and focused throughout the year. We can say what you want about the game plan, going into big games, and all that other stuff. There are deficiencies that the coaching staff has to solve. We understand that. We all understand that. But let's also be fair in noticing and really saying that this team could have turned it away and just shut the door. Going down 13-3, losing Aaron Rodgers. And yet still being able to compete at a high level. This is well done. This is really well done. Again, for those of you watching the show, following along, we appreciate all the support. We're going to continue to go through this particular game. And the greatness that we saw from the Jets in these different moments, because this was a really good game for the Jets. And it kind of showed at least some positivity in the belief that, listen, all is not going to be atrocious this year. And I just want to look and pause here for 1 second, because Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback in the National Football League. And he's extremely unique in what he does, because there's very few that have his talent overall. Very few. But the one thing that doomed the Bills this year, and it didn't really happen in the game against the Chiefs, but it doomed them to the point where they could have been in contention for the 1 seed. And it's the turnovers. I mean, look at this. He drops the snap. The fumble gets picked up by the Jets. And there's under 5 minutes to go here. All right. There's under 5 minutes to go. Most teams, the Chiefs, Philadelphia, they've got their 6-minute offense in to try and run this game out and to try to control the clock, so they put even more pressure on Zach Wilson and the Jets. And these guys can't even handle a simple snap. You want to talk about the dysfunction of the Bills this season. This is kind of a microcosm, and it happened as early as week 1. Jets had no business being in this game. No business being in this game. And now they don't even need to run a 5-minute offense. You score a touchdown, it's ultimate pressure on a defense and a Bills team that was expected to go far this year. And they, of course, did. But it shows that the Jets aren't that far off. And this is kind of what I want to show you guys. And I want to show these examples because, yes, there are problems that the Jets need to solve. Free agency picks that the Jets need to solve. But if I'm judging the Jets based on the film that I've seen, this is not all doom and gloom like a lot of people want to talk about. It's just not. It's just not. And this is a drive. I mean, there's issues here, but it doesn't start that way. It's a well-run play, but to Hall. Let's look at the end zone view. Think about the lack of trust you have in your quarterback if you're using a 3 tight end set like this. I know a lot of teams like it. Some teams do. But you need to be able to trust your receivers. And the Corey Davis retirement really kind of put them on the back burner on trying to figure out what to do offensively. But this is a well-blocked play. I'll give him credit. McGovern does a good job of sealing off Phillips, and it's 6 yards. And this is an interesting situation, guys. For those of you still watching, for those of you through this film session, let me know. There's 4 minutes left in this game. Are you going for the touchdown immediately? Or are you trying to milk as much clock as possible, knowing your opponent is Josh Allen? Me personally, Because what the Jets end up doing is they simply just run out the clock. They don't allow their quarterback to throw. Me personally, I'm okay with it, particularly with how well the defense was playing. This one here to Hall. I don't really like it. Let's look. These run plays are always difficult from the sideline view. From here, you get a good vantage point. I feel if Hall takes it here, he's probably got a touchdown. But instead, he bounces it out and then has to cut back. And he gets 3 yards on a play that could have been broken. But again, just envision this. Envision the backfield here. The Jets do a good job here on the interior. They do a really good job. They seal up a blitz. Klein gets blocked off. Excuse me, that's Milano gets blocked off. And if Hall sticks this run through the hole, this is probably a touchdown. Again, some of the things, he's a little rusty. He's still learning defenses. He's only in his second year. So he's going to continue to learn. So I'm not really going to get on him for something like this. Really not. All right. Cook gets jammed. And again, the inconsistencies of the offensive line. The previous play was really well blocked. It was a bad read by the running back. This play, they just got completely blown up. And it really starts on the left side. Excuse me, the right side. I mean, let's take a look. Becton, AVT, McGovern. AVT and Becton are on a double team, and this double team fails miserably. Because when you're on a double team, you want to push downfield. You need to get a push when it's third and short. And they don't get that there. They don't get it. This needs to be down, and you need to be 3 yards off the ball. Becton and AVT don't do that. It's a missed block. And the inconsistencies of the Jets. Think about it. All year we've seen this. When it wasn't one thing, it was another. They pick up the first down on a quarterback sneak, which I feel every team should be doing. But on this particular play, the offensive line does its job. You need a yard, pick up a yard with the easiest play known to mankind. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But again, so now it's first down. The 2-minute warning has hit. Now you want to start forcing Buffalo to use some timeout. But in order to do that, you need to make sure that you get positive yardage. And the one thing you've been doing well is running downfield against this Bills defense. So what do they call? They call a stretch play to a running back that is still getting his legs out from under him. I don't like this play call. We know the Bills are going to be attacking the gaps, trying to force a turnover, trying to force negative plays. And the Jets essentially give it to them. This is a stretch run. Phillips beats, I'm trying to see who that is. I think that's Tomlinson. Number 91 here. Yeah, he just beats Tomlinson. Not even close. These are all zone blocks, and it gets blown up immediately. So now you have given Buffalo supreme comfortability in a situation that they shouldn't be in. You should be running downfield. And look what happens here. You run downfield a little bit, you get a couple yards back. But now, because Buffalo has all 3 of their timeouts, you've just run a negative play, and now it's 3rd and long. Let's see who missed the block here. And it just seems like there's just so many misses. There's so many misses. All right, 3rd and long. They pick up 6. There's no chance for the first down there, but you're able to kick a field goal and take the lead. All right. So as much as we can argue about what the Jets should or shouldn't have done on this drive, the offense did its job. They took the ball down to the minute 48 mark. Buffalo has one timeout, and they have the lead. The Jets have the lead. That's all you can ask for. Without Aaron Rodgers, with all the problems that they had offensively in this game, you have the lead with a minute 48 to go, and your opposition on just one timeout. Now it's up to the defense to make a play. And this is where I'm talking about saying even the defense is not excused from a little bit of criticism. And this isn't a game really to criticize them about because they were phenomenal. You hold a team to 13 points up to this point. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But you got to win the game. And the Jets defense here on this drive does not. They break contain. No one's on Allen. He picks up 7. Clock is running. But again, with a minute 30, you've got plenty of time. They pick up the stunt. Mosley's a little indecisive. Allen picks up 7. Quick pass. And again, now it's all about just getting comfortable and just finding a way to get the ball down the field. This is good coverage by DJ Reed. This is a better ball and a better catch by Gabe Davis. Nothing on DJ Reed. But now, because there's still a minute and a half to go, or a minute to go now, Jets are in a position where the defense has to make a stop, and Buffalo's been given a first down. And they get even closer on this drive, on this play, 15 yards. Diggs is there. They find the soft underbelly of the zone. And essentially what Sauce is saying here, because you see it at the end of the play, they're in a clear zone coverage. And when you're a receiver as a veteran like as Stephon Diggs, it's about finding the soft underbelly of the zone. You have Mosley here with the tight end, and Carter is going after this guy right here. Carter is waiting on him to break. And if Carter steps up, this tight end is going to be roaming free for a first down. So essentially, he picks his guy, and it's given up a first down. Why is Sauce Gardner playing off in a long zone against Stephon Diggs? That's certainly a question that's fair to ask. But essentially, he becomes open so quickly that Allen, there's no real need to worry about anything. So now they're in Jets territory. And again, this is the type of thing that we're looking at because the Sauce Gardner, Stephon Diggs battle has been awesome for 2 years now. Diggs pushes off. It's offensive pass interference. It's great coverage by Sauce, and it shows again. We can argue about the effectiveness of guys like Jalen Johnson, guy in Dallas, both guys in Dallas, really. Patrick Surtain. There's no one as good as Sauce Gardner has been. No one. So all of a sudden now, the Jets have trust in DJ Reed to be as good as Sauce Gardner in coverage. We know that that's not going to be the case, but he's still a very good corner. But he gives up 15 here in a situation that he can't give up 15. And this is kind of my problem with some defenses nowadays, because I feel that when they're given and they give these cushions to great quarterbacks, Stephon Diggs, this is what? 9-10 yards off the ball? He's 9-10 yards apart. And you're giving a soft cushion to a guy like Stephon Diggs. You are asking for trouble. He gets the play here, and it's 15 yards. So a 1st and 20 play becomes 2nd and 5 with about 30 seconds to go. I understand the reason why. I understand it. But when you play so far off some of these great receivers, this is what happens. I don't like the structural changes that these guys make sometimes when they go 3rd and long or just in soft zone, because it allows quarterbacks easy completions when they really need one. There's no reason to give them that cushion. Diggs with the slant. And they started realizing, okay, well, Stephon Diggs can beat DJ Reed. Let's stop putting him on sauce and let's get him the ball against DJ Reed. And you're going to see a lot of a lot of offenses attack DJ Reed this entire year because of the year that Sauce Gardner had. For those of you that are questioning why Sauce Gardner was given a second All-Pro selection, if you want to think about it. So now it's 2nd and 10 after picking up the first down. And now they're going to have chances for the end zone. And they're going to take their shot here. It's not a good one because DJ Reed's got a good coverage. But this is a good job. And I have no problem with the Bills even trying to take their shots. They're in field goal range, so might as well see if you can draw pass interference. No problem with that. Jets call timeout during this play. The pressure gets home. Let's look at the end zone view because, again, I just love this Jets pass rush. And Bryce Huff is in the game, and there's going to be questions on how they're going to solve if Bryce Huff leaves in free agency because this is just incredible. But there are layers to this passing attack. And I truly believe from what I've seen on the film this year, and I'm going to show you guys this as well from Will McDonald. But Will McDonald is a pretty damn good player. And I think with some added size, he's going to be really good and make a lot of people forget about Bryce Huff. I think it's well within range. All right. So I'm going to skip through some of this because all this is the kick. And they just take it to the overtime period. All right. So we're in overtime now. For those of you staying on, again, Football with Fair, I'm going to get to some of your questions in a little bit. Going close to an hour on this program. And so they're in overtime, right? The fan base is loud. It's rowdy. The place is shaking. It was awesome to be around. And the defense has got to get off the field. They didn't do that in this last drive. And they really needed to. But this is a situation. This entire series was just blown up by this defense. This was an elite defense pronouncing themselves across the NFL and saying, we are still elite no matter who is our quarterback. And the crowd getting loud. We have a false start here. Buffalo was shook. They were shook. And the problem for them was now at first and long, you got to get some passes. You got to find some openings. And Allen just wasn't accurate in this game. Notice the difference here. Notice the difference here between what Josh Allen does on this out route and what Zach Wilson did a few series ago on this out route. Sauce is clearly in zone. He's clearly in zone. But because the splits with the tight end were closer to the line of scrimmage, Allen can't put the ball on the tight end because the linebacker, Quincy Williams, is here to potentially pick this off. So he has to essentially eat this play. Because if he throws it on him, Sauce is going to pick it off. If he throws it at him, there's a chance that Quincy could pick it off. And still, the arm strength of Allen is just absurd because he still gets it through. But now it's 2nd down and long. And they run a delayed draw that goes nowhere. We'll see why in a minute. We got Quincy, JFM, JJ, and I think that's Quentin Jefferson. No, that's Solomon Thomas. So Thomas beats his man, but again, it's a trap, so that's exactly what the Bills want. But notice what Quentin Williams does here. You can't block him one-on-one. You cannot block Quentin Williams one-on-one. The Bills tried to do that in this game, and they got absolutely toasted each time. And now it's 3rd and long. Because you're trying to block Quentin Williams one-on-one. I mean, there's just some problems that the Bills had this year that were all to do with coaching. All right, they get pressure. It's an incomplete pass. And now, for everyone's sake, why don't we watch this together? It's a great play. A rookie sort of emerging himself as a star on Monday night. I mean, it doesn't get more storybook than this. It really doesn't. Look at the seal. I mean, let's look at this here because this is just such beautifully blocked execution. He catches the ball at the 35. Look at the seal already beginning, the wall that is beginning to get built on the right side of the field, the near side here. All Gibson has to do is get to this side and find a way to get to this side. Takes a couple of steps. And again, sometimes with punt returns, all you need to be is a little patient. The seal is here. The wall is here. Get to the outside. Get to the outside as fast as you can. Pow! Out of the gate. They're already in field goal range. And now it's saying, okay, well, we're already there. Break some tackles and let's end this. And pandemonium happens at MetLife Stadium. It wasn't a microcosm for the entire year, but it certainly was something to be happy about on a day where everyone was miserable because of Aaron Rodgers leaving. I can just look at the wall that was built there. Great blocking by Surratt. And touchdown. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. So what did we learn through this first game of film study? Well, we learned a couple of different things. First off, the Jets were able to run the ball with Dalvin Cook this year, particularly early on in the year. And the reason why it didn't work out, we're going to get into that throughout this film session, throughout the offseason, of why it didn't actually work out when it did later on in the year. Offensive line injury certainly played a part, but there were other problems that were suffering outside of just Dalvin Cook's ineffectiveness, because Dalvin Cook had a good game. The offense, I thought, played relatively well, all things considered. Zach Wilson having to come in 4 plays in. And I didn't think he had a bad game either. But it all falls apart when the execution isn't matched. And that's what we're going to see throughout this year and throughout this film study. All right, so we're going to take some comments here. We're going to take a look for those still watching from Johnny. Let me see if I can get this here. Perfect. So Johnny says, so you're saying the Jets should get Bowers. No, I'm not saying Brock Bowers should be a New York Jet. I think everyone and their mother believes that the Jets are going to go offensive line, and they absolutely should in this draft. They absolutely should. Daniel Murphy, Sherwood has set the table for Mosley after the season. I think there's a chance that it could happen this offseason. If C.J. Mosley doesn't take a pay cut, I think there's a legitimate conversation to have about potentially letting him walk. Because you have Sherwood. And if you didn't have a linebacker that played well last year, I would say you have to find a way to keep Mosley. You have to find a way. But Sherwood played well. And he's a great cerebral player. A great cerebral player. Murphy with another comment. I thought it was a Jet thing that wide receiver screen's not working. Let me tell you something. If you thought wide receiver screens are bad with the Jets, I'll give you a 15-minute film session on why what the Philadelphia Eagles did this year on wide receiver screens set it back about 100 years. 100 years. You thought it was bad with the Jets? Watch an Eagles game when they ran wide receiver screens. I've never seen anything like it. From Johnny, Nick, my draft for the Jets, first round Fuaga, third Zinther, Malachi Corley, Sam Hartman. What do you think? I love that draft. I think ultimately, Olu Fashanu is going to fall to 10 or somewhere around that point. And if he does, I think the Jets should do everything in their power to trade up. I really do. I think Fashanu is great. I think Joe Alt is great. I know a lot of people like Fuaga. I know a lot of people think that Fuaga might be the second best tackle in this draft. I have to watch a little bit more film on him. I just don't trust Pac-12 offensive linemen like I do from the Big Ten and Notre Dame. Notre Dame offensive linemen are great. I mean, you kind of have to trust where they're coming from too. Because look at some of the other points. Well, we're at the hour mark. We just finished the film session for week 1 of the Bills and Jets. Next week on Thursday, we're going to continue to do our film sessions. We're going to watch the Cowboys game. We all know I don't like the Cowboys. We all know that game was a blowout, but we have to look at the tape to see why it was a blowout. And I think we're going to learn a little bit more about this team and a little bit more about this season as we continue to go along and really find the things that could really step up and solve some issues going into 2024, both in the offseason and in training camp coming up in, what we got, 4 or 5 months left. Not too far away. So for those that have watched, thank you so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll try to get a guest on. Maybe we'll see if Jake Asman's going to be available. We'll see. I have a class, though, tonight, so we're going to try to check that out. But anyway, for those that are still watching, thank you guys so much. For those that did tune in, thank you guys as well. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon for more football with Faria.